beloved students. It's great that you're joining me again today with Unit 5, the Golden Years. Today we're going to focus on listening 1. Okay, let's look at the questions and points of discussion. The focus on the topic. Number 1, longevity means the length of a person's life. At what age do you consider someone elderly? I hope not 44, right? Well, that's my age, so I do not hope that age. Okay, 2, the photo shows an older man surfing. Let's take a look first. Look at this. Wow, this guy looks super determined. He's on his surfboard and he's going for the wave. Looks like a grandpa, but he is determined. Do you think this is a good hobby for older people? What kinds of activities do you think senior citizens enjoy? By the way, what do you think senior is? We're going to talk about that one. Number 3, what do you think are some factors that might help a person live for a long time? That might help a whole community have a longer life expectancy. Okay, these are the things that you and I are going to talk about. The golden years. What are the golden years, right? When you're very young, 40 seems so old. But when you get in your 20s, you think like, yeah. You think 60 is very old. So it's very relative. Listening 1, the Longevity Project Report. First off, we're going to look at the vocabulary. As usual, we have the bold-faced words. More and more seniors or older people are active members of society. Listen and read a blog discussing some issues modern seniors face. Pay special attention to the words and expressions in bold. I am going to turn on the audio, means I can't scroll. So you're going to read along by looking at your textbook. And remember, it goes from page 108 to 109. Yeah, it goes all the way here. Okay, let's start.
Golden Life Blog, Volume 9, by Eileen Julian. Is peace of mind for seniors just a myth? There's a myth out there that too many people believe that when we reach a certain age, we can no longer be happy, independent, and productive members of society. How wrong that is. I recently had a serious hip injury that landed me in the hospital. I was frightened at first, but I was only facing a short-term crisis. Now, after good medical treatment, I'm back on my feet, back to work, and feeling great. Sure, I have my aches and pains, and I move a little slower than I did when I was 18, but who doesn't? And then last night, I was touched when my niece said, "Aunt Eileen, I want to be like you when I'm older. You're 76 years old, yet you're happy, healthy, and still working. You're actually thriving." She was right. I am thriving. However, I haven't always felt so secure. Years ago, my grandmother encountered serious financial problems. Fortunately, our family was able to take her in, and she eventually lived to the ripe old age of 94. However, her situation made me think about my own financial future. I was in my early 30s. Would I have sufficient resources to live comfortably for another 50 or 60 years? The answer was probably no. So I decided to take action to improve the odds. I used to worry about becoming old, poor, and alone, but not anymore. I'm not wealthy, but I am well off compared to many others my age. So how did I accomplish this? Well, first I recruited a financial advisor. She said I had been too happy-go-lucky with my spending. As a result, I might run out of money and should ameliorate the risks by saving more right away. When I finally retired, I had to face some straightforward choices about what to do next. Did I want to move to an inexpensive apartment in a warmer climate, pursuing hobbies all day? No, I did not. So, I took some courses to improve my skills. Then I found a part-time job I really liked. Although I started this second career mostly for additional income, I now believe that working keeps me alive and mentally alert. When my niece asked if I had a list of do's and don'ts for being happy and healthy at 76, I told her this: keep working at something you love. Think positive. Do whatever you like in moderation. And surround yourself with loving people. Oh, and eat chocolate. Today, I feel secure, knowing that I won't be a financial burden to my nieces later on. And that thought gives me great peace of mind.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have the words myth, facing a short term crisis, back on my feet, thriving, encountered, sufficient, improved the odds, recruited, happy go lucky, ameliorate the risk, straightforward, and we've got do's and don'ts. Okay, you are going to match the words and expressions on the left with the definitions on the right. So you're going to write the letter just in front of the number. For example, myth would be E, a story that many people believe that is not true. Okay, you can pause your video and answer this. Go ahead. Great, that brings us to previewing. And then an infomercial. That's the word I wanted to say. An infomercial is a commercial that provides information about a product in the style of a radio or TV report. So it's like a commercial but combined with information. In this presentation, you will hear an infomercial for a book that summarizes research and longevity. The book synthesizes information from a study started long ago with new research. What I want you to do is listen to the two researchers that make a prediction. Some of the subjects, the children in these studies, lived longer than others. Predict what factors might have made the difference. Let's listen.
The longevity project actually started in 1921 when Lewis Terman at Stanford recruited over 1,500 kids, boys and girls, to be part of this study. He planned to follow them into early adulthood to see if they grew up to be well-adjusted, thriving people. He actually ended up studying them until he died.
Okay, try to answer the question. What prediction can you make of the factors that might have had the difference? Okay, that brings us to the main idea. The main idea is the previewing is when we predict, like, okay, what is a topic, where will it lead us, and it brings us into focus. Main ideas are more the development and the broader ideas, and then the details are more specific points. Listen to the whole report. Look again at your predictions from your preview. How did your predictions help you understand the interview? I want you to check the items that are myths according to the listening. Now, before you do this, annotate the sentences first, meaning circling, underlining, highlighting the keywords in every sentence so you can keep up when you're listening. You listen and you answer straight away. Annotate first. Okay, let's listen.
The longevity project actually started in 1921 when Lewis Terman at Stanford recruited over 1,500 kids, boys and girls, to be part of this study. He planned to follow them into early adulthood to see if they grew up to be well-adjusted, thriving people. He actually ended up studying them until he died.
And we picked up the study about 20 years ago and have been trying to see who lives long and who dies young, why some people stay healthy, and why some people become ill.
We published a lot of papers, and people always ask us questions about other studies. We'll start talking about one, and they say, well, what about this? What about that? And we decided that this was a really good time to put together all of the findings in one spot, in one book, so that people who are interested generally about all the different things that lead to long life and health could find them in one place. There's a huge myth that's out there, which is that if you want to live a long life, you need a long checklist of do's and don'ts. All the right foods to eat, all the foods that you should never eat, all of the exercises that you need to do, even if you hate them. And the Longevity Project is really a myth buster. What we discovered is that you don't need a long checklist in order to live a long life. It's really a lot simpler than that.
There were many surprising and intriguing findings in the Longevity Project. One of those that amazed me the most was that hard work, and even stressful hard work, was not harmful. Actually, the people who work the hardest live the longest.
What we found, and this is true in other shorter term studies as well, is that cheerfulness and optimism really is a good thing, particularly if you're facing a short-term crisis. You know, it sort of keeps you motivated. If you expect that things will turn out okay, you may be more likely to hang in there with a treatment or some sort of a process that will get you back on your feet. But as a life approach, the children who were more cheerful and optimistic and kind of happy-go-lucky, they tended to take a lot more risks with their health. They had an attitude that was sort of, everything will turn out all right, and that tended to make them a bit more careless, which wasn't good in terms of their longevity. Probably the most surprising thing to me in the Longevity Project was the differences that we found for men versus women when they encountered divorce. Divorce certainly is stressful and a bad thing for anyone, but men were really able to improve their odds and ameliorate their risk by getting remarried after a divorce. That wasn't really so much the case for women. Women were just about as well off if they stayed single following a divorce.
Of course, exercise in the form of physical activity is predictive of long life. It does help keep you healthy, but not the kind of exercise that most people usually worry about and obsess about. It wasn't necessary to go to the gym the same time every day and do the certain number of activities, keep track of how many steps you've taken each day. The people who lived the longest, they didn't worry about things like that. They just lived a naturally active life, and that was sufficient. Many of the parents in this study were smart parents, and they had smart children in the study, and they thought, well, let's give them an advantage by putting them in school really early. But we found that starting first grade, structured environment, too early an age, was really harmful. It led to problems in adolescence for the children. It led to problems later in life, and in fact, they died at a younger age. The Longevity Project doesn't burden you with endless lists of things to do to lead a long and healthy life. In fact, it shows that certain simple, straightforward patterns can be developed that anybody can develop, and once you get on the right pattern, you are much more likely to live a long and healthy life.
Okay, now I'm gonna give you a moment to check your answers. Go ahead. Great, that brings us to the details. If you want to listen to it again, you can rewind it and just, go back a bit and just listen to it again. I would want you to write true or false, T or F, for each statement, statements 1 until 10. And correct the false statements, okay? I'm going to give you some time to do this. Pause your video. This brings us to making inferences. Remember that making inferences means that we're making an educated guess. We're basically looking at the facts that we can find in a text or in an audio that we can hear. We combine it, correlate it, and from there come to a conclusion, and that conclusion is the implied meaning. So inferences, making inferences means that we are looking for the underlying meaning. Implied meaning are also called something that is indirectly stated. Understanding the meaning of stressed words. Okay, speakers stress, okay, they do not become stressed, but they stress the language. We also call it emphasizing it. Yeah, particular words, to give it just some extra meaning. It was really hard. That is, for example, stressing the word really to show you that it was very, very, very hard. Okay, that's an example.
One of those that amazed me the most was that hard work, and even stressful hard work, was not harmful.
Yeah, this is an example of the words that are naturally stressed. Not as obvious as the one I did just now. We can see here that basically certain words are emphasized in order to create an extra meaning. Yeah, he thinks most people assume that any kind of stress is bad for living a long life. He emphasizes these words so the listener will take special notice not to rely on earlier assumptions. So there's always an implied meaning, an extra meaning when we stress words. Now, I want you to listen to the excerpt. Yes, excerpts 1, 2, and 3, and answer the questions. So, which words are stressed? You gotta write down the words, and then from the speaker's word stress, which statement would he be likely to say? Yes, you circle A or B.
Divorce certainly is stressful and a bad thing for anyone, but men were really able to improve their odds and ameliorate their risk by getting remarried after a divorce.
Excerpt 2.
Of course, exercise in the form of physical activity is predictive of long life. It does help keep you healthy, but not the kind of exercise that most people usually worry about and obsess about.
Excerpt 3.
In fact, it shows that certain simple, straightforward patterns can be developed that anybody can develop.
Okay. Please answer excerpt 1, 2, and 3. If, for example, it went a bit too fast, you could just go back a bit and listen to it again. Okay, that brings us to the end of the lesson, which is expressing opinion. Very important to be opinionated, to reason, to give your POV, point of view, your perspective. Always remember to state your opinions respectfully, always leaving room and place for other people to be opinionated as well. When you do express yourself, remember to do it with a structure. Peel, P-E-E-L, point, explanation, evidence, and linking back. Sometimes we also call it ARL. Remember, assertion, reasoning, evidence, and linking back. Now, we're going to discuss in our next Zoom meeting whether you agree with the statements. And I want you to give reasons for your opinion. Number 1, I take steps now to live a longer life. Or 2, I'd like to live as long as possible, no matter what. Or 3, I don't care if I live a very long life. I just want to be happy and healthy until the end. Or number 4, thinking about how long I might live makes me appreciate everything more. Now, there is some empty space here below. Write your thoughts down and remember to organize it with PEEL, point, explanation, evidence, and linking. And so in our next meeting, we're going to talk about this, and I'd like you to try to express your opinion with the right structure. Okay? Okay, cool beans. That's great. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson today. I'm going to review with you what we've done today. The golden years. Wow. Yeah. First we did the vocabulary. We matched the words with the correct definition. Then we went into previewing, listening for main ideas, listening for details, and making inferences, understanding the meaning and why the meaning of stressed words and why people would stress words to give more meaning, right? And last, we expressed our opinion using the structure PEEL, point, explanation, evidence, and linking, or ARL, assertion, reasoning, evidence, and linking back. Remember that everything that we do, whether it's talking or writing, it's gonna be done. It's gotta be done with the correct structure. Okay, awesome people. Thank you very much for today. You are amazing, and I'm excited to see you again the next lesson. God bless you. Bye-bye.